Just squaring off the ends, cutting off the factory paint. And they tend to dry up and they can develop a few cracks on the ends. You can see how they easily crack. See if I can get another one. Anyways, that's what just cutting off these factory ends does. Gives you a little bit of a fresh start. See, quite the crown on the floor, now that we got some straight edge action on there. We'll see if I can flex that out. May have to hit that up with a little bit of scribe. Give you a close-up when it's done. Get ready to cut the outside miter joint for this corner here. This corner is not a 90-degree corner. It's supposed to be close, but it's not. A lot of houses don't have perfect 90-degree corners. If you're just installing painted baseboard, it doesn't matter. Just get it close, caulk it, paint it, no one will ever know. But when you have stained wood, especially a lighter wood, it's very hard to cover up your joints. You can try to put filler in there, doesn't really work that great. The lighter wood shows a gap. The gap shows up as a dark line. You have dark wood, you don't see it as much. You got lighter wood, you do see it. This is a little tool I've been using over the last couple of years. This gives you your exact cut to miter joint. So this one is 45, exactly. So this post has 90-degree angles on it. Kind of hard to explain this, but there's an inside and an outside gauge. Put it on this wall here, and we have a 47.5 to almost 48-degree cut angle, so that I don't have a weird gap or weird fit in it around this corner. If you can find one that's made in the USA and you can afford paying 5 to 10 times more than a Chinese Amazon one, I encourage you to get the made in the USA version of this. It's made in the USA, it's probably the one put out by the inventor, not China. I didn't know that there was an issue between the American inventor and China when I bought this. If I knew that, I would have put a little extra time into finding the American-made version of this. This one is all clamped up, glued up, Type Bond 2. Gonna leave that for a while. It is one of my only outside corners. Well, outside of this thing, this will be a whole nother bag of worms trimming this thing out. So I'm just putting a little extra time into this. At some point I gotta build this frame here for a door, and then this will come up, stop, and start, and go this way. Here's another corner that's gluing. Use these little guys a few times. I've had these things for almost 10 years. Rare that I bust them out. Gotta start turning my attention to this thing, making this out to be a little bit more fancy than it is. This is a basement bedroom. I should be just getting her done. So here's some oak that I'm gonna make a wrap around the post, and then I'm gonna be putting my baseboard to this. And basically I'm just going around making sure this is thick enough. This is exactly 3/4 of an inch. Just maybe a 1/16. This one looks dead on at 45, that's good. This here, 45. I'm gonna call that 45 too. So this is all good. Well, this was supposed to fit on here. Come on, get on there. There we go. Wiggle it. Maybe it's up a little high. There we go. Right like that. This one here will go on the back side. There is a little slop. See how it moves around? I need that because I gotta wrap this whole thing in baseboard. Here's a little behind the scenes action. This was a little too complicated to do in the basement. So I loaded everything up. I even brought my saw back because the saw that I usually have over there does not have a fine enough saw blade to make good cuts on this oak. I was getting too much tear out. So this is not the way I would have done it. Let me explain how I did it. I made this piece first, and then went around and made this piece, and then glued them together. I should have kept this baseboard all one long piece. And this piece of oak here, all one long piece, glued it together, and then cut the miter joints. I also have to build the door frame and door that covers up the plumbing in that lower hole. The upper hole, well, you're just gonna have to wait to see what gets in that upper hole. What I'm doing is I'm sanding the lacquer off the baseboard that I already pre-finished, and I'm going to fill. It's going to look perfect, way too perfect than is necessary, but kind of got in too deep, and I set my mind to finishing it. It probably not the best choice of using my time to earn dollars, but hopefully it turns out good. So I got to make a door. They are quite complicated to do it the way that I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be using my router table and cutting out a groove and a tongue. It's going to go together like this. Outside dimensions are 17.5 by 20.5, but the width board has to get calculated out, and it turns out to be 17 3/8, not 20.5. Subtract this off, subtract this off. Then I have to add the length of the tongue on each side. That's what the 14 16 7/8, and that's how we get this number right here. I don't want to get these messed up. Left and right. They're only 1/8 inch different in size. This is kind of expensive wood. This isn't like poplar that you just run on down to Home Depot and grab. Although they do have 3/4 inch oak at Home Depot. That's not where I purchased this. Don't want to make a mistake. It's just a hole. I got enough to do another one, but that wood is allocated for something else. So this is my router table setup. It is not as precise as I would like it. I'll show you where the slop is once I get it set up. So I'm going to show you where my problems show up. So the fence for the router table is clamped to the fence for the table saw. And the fence for the table saw is clamped to this rail here. Now when I'm just feeding things through, it works fine. But when I have to use this T-track, I've got to make sure that this T-track is perfectly parallel to this. The T-track is attached to this board here. And this board just sets in place. It is clamped, but there's room. Well, I have it all shimmed in there right now, but there's room for it to get out of whack. I'm going to take my fancy Ryobi tape measure here and just measure across. I'm actually going to bump this over to the nearest inch so it's real easy to follow. Right there, 11 inches, dead on. Now if I go down here, it's actually pretty good. I expected it to move a lot more. It's dead on at 11 inches there. These here are little, I think these are brass, measuring devices for setting up router bits. I'm definitely not a professional at this. Crank it up. There's a lock. I'll put a link down in the description of this router table insert. I've had two of them. The first one didn't work out so well. It just wasn't very accurate. And I've got my proof first. There's my inches. I used to have a whole bunch of test blocks already cut that I used to keep in here. Like I said, this has been a year and a half since I've used this. They may have gotten thrown out. And I believe this is a 1/4 inch right here. Exactly 1/4 inch. We have 3/4 inch wood. So this is how I do it. Set this on the table here. Hopefully I'm zoomed in enough for you guys to see. And the bottom cutter is just going to touch it. So it's 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. The groove is 1/4. There's a 1/4 inch underneath the groove and a 1/4 inch above the groove. Just okay, over and twist a lot. This is a lot. These are other ones. Those in there. Got a piece of scrap here that I'm going to run through. This straight edge to get the ball bearing lined up with the fence, so that when I'm feeding this through, it's at the right depth. Here's a look underneath the router table. It's a Bosch router. Bought it a long time ago. It might be some kind of plunge router. I'll look up the specifications and leave a link in the description for all this. But just on off switch right here. I could have it hooked up to the remote, but don't really need to. You can see a shim. I got a blade as a shim to get this table just perfect. Looks pretty good. I have arrows on the side that needs to go in because I have my best sides set up for facing out into the room. Now I gotta cut my tongues. Just bringing these back over. Tongues go right here. Not on these ones. Now the router's unplugged. I'm gonna flip the switch on and off, make sure it is, because I've got whole bunch of tools plugged into it. You got to crank it up and swap it out. Unlock. Alright, so I think I'm ready to cut my groove, or my tongue, and then I'll test fit it in here, and if it's good, then I'll cut these. Yeah, let's see if this shit fits together, huh? Ooh, that's a good joint. That's a good joint. Nice. Nice. Pretty good. Not bad at all. Not bad for a handyman. All right, now I've got to find a panel, and I do not have an oak, 1/4-inch piece of oak plywood. I'm faced with a decision here. I can try to make a piece of maple work, or I can spend about $80 and go buy one tomorrow. An oak veneered piece of plywood that fits in this groove. This is a very expensive door. You don't already know. I've already checked at Home Depot. They have pre-cut pieces of luan and plywood and maple, but they do not have oak. And the only place to get that is at a special wood store. And they're not open at this time of the day. They close early. To be continued.